Welcome to TradeTheMVI.com. This is John. This report is for the 21st. Summer has arrived, and just in time. Maybe it saves the day, perhaps it doesn't. What we're looking at, though, was this continued decline in the shakeout. We can see now that we're starting to have a rise in gold. This was the last one, and we ended up with a very similar construction. But what we've got basically is ABM yellow and various support numbers in there. So you got 7150, and then you start dropping down to the 56s and the low 50s for what we were seeing before, and then obviously you get down to the 76%. As long as you're still up in this range, the market's doing fairly well, given the fact that we've been in a prolonged sell signal now. For the first time, we just got steel is beginning to rise over orange, and if it breaks above cyan as well, it would be a little bit more of a bullish tint that could be enough to break out to new highs, and then if you get that to correspond with a cross in the green, you're just about there. So still some potential decent signals on there. However, we're still looking at falling shakeout and that decay. Now this could signal the end of it, because declining shakeout for the NASDAQ, this could be the first higher bar on the day. Of course, the day is just starting, so we don't know if that's going to finish out that way. Still on the edge of extreme algo activity is really what we're looking at here, and that's pretty much what's moving this situation, because there doesn't appear to be anything on the economic horizon that's really either an impetus or drawback, other than the fact that you've got sustained growth. The question really becomes, does the Fed get active with really trying to slow things down? Euro, again, still maintaining at the bottom here, but elevated shakeout, comparatively speaking, with the matching lows. I would expect a little bit of a break. If it holds up within this range, that's pretty strong, and I would expect a pretty decent bounce back, because we're right at the threshold that we've been talking about for like forever, as I've been saying on the support range. You just don't really have a justification for Euro where it is at this particular time, given the difficulties that it has and the change in, as much as the ECB talks about reducing the quantitative easing, they really can't. There just isn't the possibility, but they can keep talking about it, and it seems to be enough to convince people. Of course, TLT, with the market moving higher, no reason to be in the treasuries, so is risk on again. And from an oil standpoint, we're just plateauing right here now. We're could be developing the first set of a new buy signal here, so that could be the next round that starts to push things back up. We just don't want to be seeing new highs made to this, because if you are, then you can imagine there's going to be some real pressure towards inflation, because this is what is not being seen right now from a gold standpoint. No interest whatsoever, and actually we've seen a little bit of a move towards Bitcoin recently from the lows that were down in the 6,000 range, but still it's caught a similar kind of cycle trend. The gold's actually trailed off much more than the others, actually deep into that oversold, but we're not seeing any indication that it's about to turn around just yet. So it was kind of a ish day for trading. We ended up with this setup here, where we ended up with positive extremes. So we had a defined retrace, which was the low. Right there, it was around 67. And once we stayed up at the high, we ended up getting gold, which fine. We were already at the highs. It doesn't give a huge expectation, but it was enough to generate some long interest there. But every time a little short setup was developing, because we constantly had cyan above, the breakout DOC spread, which was short from that one, which is up to the 72 range. All it was looking for was a retrace of the positive extreme. It just took forever for it to finally execute. And then when it did, this was an interesting one, because this very ugly shakeout, looks horrible, and then all of a sudden comes up, and this is what you expect, and then you expect it to retrace back to that 50%. If it holds on the higher shakeup, that becomes a pretty decent buy configuration with that, and sure enough, popped up, took off again, set up secondary retrace right here with this positive extreme, and that was going to be right back down at 71. And then we popped up and created a series more, and that became a perfect short after the gold expecting the new highs. So decent from a long standpoint. And now we had a 71 projection from a low move. So up here at the 77 to 78 range to 71. It's pretty decent in my book to fill that, and sure enough, did it reasonable order. So, decent target up, decent target down. So it was a couple of good shorts, so long. And then as the end of day came, we ended up starting to get buy configurations, and then that took place at the final close. Positive extremes, though, which means we're coming all the way back down. And even produced an interesting white candle in the middle of the up run. And we filled it all the way back in. No surprise with that. It is interesting because it's likely then that we'll want to try and retest this area. If they're not able to get back to it, then we could be revisiting these lower ranges rather quickly. It's one of those ones where, we've always talked about it. It's a slow up grind. Usually they call it, that melt up a little bit of time. But the dips, when they happen, are swift and severe because markets do fall 66% faster than they rise. It's just their general nature because people want to get out of the exits as quick as possible because they don't know what's going to happen, which is just kind of interesting from the melt-up standpoint. Keep bidding it up and then it all falls apart. So that's the long and the short of it for now. It was a fairly decent. Looks like we could get some nice activity to start this new summer season, and that would be good. As always, look, trade well. I will put up any charts if needed. Have a good one.